A Texas Tech response times two.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again. And since we were last together on today's episode, we will get to comments from Texas Tech leadership in various forms. Been wondering if there would be a response sooner rather than later in some way. We saw a statement delivered by Texas Tech Athletics Director Kirby Hocutt, and we also saw via an appearance in Houston some comments captured from Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire. We will get to those coming up in just a moment. The statement from Kirby Hocutt I want to begin with. It is a long one, so we won't go through it in its entirety. You can find it at Locked On Tech on X or just about anywhere on the internet. We'll give you some takeaways, however, Chris, and then certainly want to get your perspective on what Kirby had to say. Clearly standing by Brendan Sorsby, as some would speculate. Could there be a change in attitudes following the backlash? I did not get that impression in any way, shape, or form. He emphasized that Texas Tech didn't start or fund this lawsuit against the NCAA. He also emphasized a belief that recovery and accountability can coexist at the same time and that they are complying with the court's ruling. He also talked about, of course, his view on integrity and how difficult he knows this is when addressing some colleagues specifically. I think he talked about a non-binary view, or a binary view, on a non-binary situation. So clearly the separation not coming between Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. If anybody was looking for that, it seemed like there was still a stance maintained of backing the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I feel like we're just saying the same thing over again from this standpoint. Is like there's a lot going on here, man. I mean, so here's my read of that message. I think what you're seeing is because what we've talked about leading up to this is we don't know what the league is going to do. We don't know what Brendan is going to do, but it's pretty clear now what Texas Tech is going to do. Okay, so I guess we kind of we're wondering about the three different things, and now we're getting an answer on which makes sense because they've chosen to back this player, and I think they're choosing to, I don't know, back him even more now, and you can't pick and choose when you wanted to back. I mean, so it's I think it's like no, this is so I think what you're seeing happen is this is why, this is the why, and I don't expect. Try to think of how to articulate this. I don't expect this letter or anything that Joey McGuire says that we'll hear in a second, or anything that you'll get in the coming hours or days to change anyone's mind, okay, depending on what your stance is. But here's what I think is happening. I think that this is focused on the folks that do believe in you or support you or are curious about why you felt this way. That's who this is all aimed at. You know, because there are I know it's shocking. I mean, and a lot of those may be listening and following us. But you know, we get the sense that you're being ganged up on, or the majority is against you, because that's what we are seeing and feeling and all that. But there is namely your fan base that believes in Kirby Hocutt as a human and as a person and as a father, as he kind of alluded to in the letter. And to Joey as this leader and as this coach and a father, as he also alluded to. But that's who any of what you're going to get here, whether it's a social media post or talking in front of the Touchdown Club in Houston, it's aimed at you. I don't think anybody's trying to change anybody's mind here. Believe what you want. However, this is why we felt the way we did. This is what we are hoping to do going forward. And you're also seeing some hint in Kirby's letter, and I think Joey will allude to that as well. There's no guarantee that we will see Brendan Sorsby in Game 3. You know, all this threats of boycotting and this and that. A player that Bet on Sports has not played for us. That is what you're seeing. You know, that's a bit premature. You know, so I think there's some reminders, and I appreciated some of the because you and I have talked about this. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the judge. Oh, Texas Tech just sued, and just reputable folks that just have fumbled it, that aren't talking correctly about the facts. Like, I guess a judge can just come up with a random 2-game suspension. These are just people that aren't familiar with the way that this case went or why that happened or whatever. But anyway, so I appreciated Kirby kind of addressing some of that. And I think he's got the tone of, I get the frustration. I understand. We're trying to talk through it. This is a very unique situation, you know, but like integrity. And I think Kirby's got a pretty good reputation of that is, you know, predates many, many years from this, played for Bill Snyder and the whole thing. So,
and shout out to those who don't let the facts get in the way of a blazing hysterical opinion, because they kind of just zoom right past one and dive in to the second. The second is more fun. I do get that. And I do get what you're saying. I don't think there's a whole lot of persuasion to be done, just like, as an example, in our YouTube comments, just to pull a random name out of the hat, Stanky Leg Daddy 69. I don't know if he's going to be coming over to the other side that he wasn't on already. Stanky Leg Daddy 68, however, maybe there is a friendly ear there. I don't know. So make of it whatever you want as far as these comments that are made, but very, very interesting. And I want to get the very, very interesting comments from Tech head coach Joey McGuire. Let's take a listen. This from Houston earlier on Wednesday. First, today's episode brought to you by Indeed. And the workday can be filled with chaos. You know it. Deadlines bearing down, inboxes overflowing, and that vital position you have to fill to help ease the load still sitting vacant. And when that kind of pressure's on and you need just the right hire, that's a job for Indeed. Sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, whether your criteria involves specific skills, experience, location, or more. So you're not just hoping fate leads the right candidate to stumble across your post. And here's a number that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes you want and only the boxes you want with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of Locked On Texas Tech get a $75 sponsored job credit right now to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast right now to support Locked On Texas Tech by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Texas Tech. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Needing to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We get the very, very interesting comments from Tech head coach Joey McGuire. Let's take a listen. This from Houston earlier on Wednesday.
Glad you asked that question. Because here's what I do want to say before I answer that question. And trust me, I think y'all will understand this. Will Hammond is coming back from an ACL. He is recovering from an injury. So what we expect Will Hammond is hopefully week 1, week 2. We hope that, like he's recovering from an injury. Brendan Sorsby is recovering from an addiction. He's recovering. I've sat down with this young man multiple times, and the things that he is going through and what he's been through is serious. And I have a number of people in my family that were addicted to different stuff. And so I've seen what addiction does to people. And so us even saying to the point before we get to the legal part that he could be ready week 3 against Houston is still a stretch, because guess what? He's still recovering. Like, you don't necessarily know between now and then exactly, do I see a different person? I know it sounds crazy, but I do. Do I see a kid that feels like he's got 1,000 pounds of weight lifted off of him? He's made the statement, that he feels like this is a moment that can actually change his life. Now, going back to yours. So the judge rules on it, right? There's an injunction. It's going to go to Amarillo at some point. What we've all heard, and when I say we, I'm hearing the same thing, is there's a meeting on Thursday with the Big 12 Executive Committee, and then at some point there'll be a meeting with the presidents. Does the Big 12 as a conference try to do something? I don't know that. As of right now, if you just look at the amount of time that it takes to get to the appeal process, that's still January and February, right? And so there's a lot of things to work through that we're trying to work through right now. I will tell you, and I know at some point, and it might have come out, that, and you can read it, the amount of stuff that he is, the mentors that he has, the help that he's getting, the recovery that he still has to do, the amount of technology that is on anything that he has for us to know everything that's going on. He has a person that's over every single penny that he has. I mean, the proper steps in place to get for him to even get to the points of where we can get him playing. There's a lot of stuff to go through. He is back in the building. He was at football school today. I got 2 kids, one's 30, one's 27. I got in this business for kids. I know I was put on this earth, and that was to help people. And I just, whenever I go through these situations and think through everything, me turning my back on that young man in his darkest times, and you don't think it's your darkest times, look at where he's rated, what he could be doing as far as quarterback-wise, is he going to get drafted and all that, and he comes back in this whole world. And he's the first person to tell you it's his fault. He chose to do this, but whenever you know anything about addiction, there's a point that you choose it, and then all of a sudden, you don't choose it anymore. There's not something that you can do by yourself to get past where you're at. And so I wouldn't want to turn my back on it. But we're still working through a lot of stuff. I mean, this is so early. This happened on Monday, and so we're still working through a lot of stuff, and so is he. But his mom and dad called me Monday night, and all they wanted to talk about was, Coach, is Texas Tech going to be okay? We're hearing all of this. Is Texas Tech, like, this is this type of people in the family that we're dealing with. Like, this is an incredible young man and a great family. So none of this is being taken to where we're trying to work through every single step and make sure that we're not only doing the right thing by him, but we're going to do the right thing by the university too, right? And so we're trying to work through, there's a lot of outrage in America right now over this one thing. You would think other things would bring us all together, but this one thing for some reason did. And so we're trying to work through it. And trust me, we're not trying to put anybody's face. This is actually the first setting that I've said publicly anything about this since Monday. President Scootneck made a statement before, Kirby Hocutt made a statement after, and you guys are actually the very first people that have heard anything from me publicly, because, again, I want to make sure Brendan's okay, and I want to make it first, and I want to make sure this football team's okay.
Sight and sound from Chris Gordy of Sports Talk 790 in Houston, Locked On SEC as well. Chris, clearly you can hear the personal perspective, I think, in Joey McGuire's comments. You hedge everything with for what it is worth to you, because there will be reaction buried, I'm sure. But what's the impression after hearing from Coach McGuire?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're getting the why, and this is, people are going to feel how they feel, but this is some of the nuts and the bolts, and there's some context there, like maybe some humanizing like the situation a bit. And if you don't agree with Tech's stance, Joey's stance, backing the kid, think that he should be tossed out, this wasn't for you. But if you are wanting to hear more, if you are wanting to understand, if you're wanting to, look at this, from a tech side of it, or that's what this was about. And you get a sense about Sorsby's family, and like they're cognizant of what's going on out there. You get a sense of that you're going to hear from Brendan at some point soon, is what Coach McGuire stated, that they've got him under lock and key, and that we know about all of his finances. We know everything he's doing, like is everybody's keeping tabs on it, whether technology or in person or whatever it may be. And so, and then you get the gray area of we're not real sure exactly when he'll play. I mean, everybody that if you disagree with this, you're just going to automatically assume and don't want to hear anything else. He's suiting up for game 3, first play of the game. That's what, but I think they're trying to say, we don't know that, so. But I do appreciate hearing their side of it, and Joey hints at some of the things that will take place on Thursday, the meetings with the executive committee, the school presidents, and all of that, and where that goes, we don't know. But yeah, we're following along like everybody else. But it was good to hear from the head coach, and it's good to hear from the athletic director today, for sure, because they have a side of the story to tell too, and I think it's important for people to hear.
Yeah, no question. And I really feel like, again, not necessarily intended to persuade anyone in the peanut gallery. I don't think that was the mission or even anything required. But I do think from a Tech fan or native standpoint, the natives were restless for all kinds of reasons. And there are some who feel different ways, clearly just among Red Raiders, about this. So I think you wanted to speak to your own supporters, because you can remain a supporter, obviously, and disagree with whatever has gone on here, or whatever you've seen that you hadn't liked, maybe something in between, something you really liked. I don't know. But I think it was important to hear from leadership, if nothing else, just directed to their own supporters and their own fan base and alumni and all that good stuff. So we'll see how it's received across the national landscape, and maybe if any opinions adapt to comments now delivered, or if they're more entrenched, which is probably the most likely prediction, and that's just fine too. Chris, appreciate your time to catch up on these takes offered from some Red Raider leaders, and we'll look ahead to a big Thursday. So we'll be back together very soon on what is to come on an executive level. Some harumphs on the way, I believe. Looking forward to it.
Are you? I mean, yeah, okay.
The time with you, not the harumph session, but the time with you.
All right. I'm looking forward to it too, man. Keep hope alive, people, and there we go. We will get through this and keep cussing and discussing for sure.
No question about it. And get subscribed on YouTube so you never miss an episode or anywhere you get podcasts. And thank you to the everydayers for always riding along. If that's you, get your everyday Locked On Texas Tech fix ad-free by joining the Everydayer Club. $5 a month, ad-free audio episodes, exclusive access to the Locked On Network, Discord, and more. Linked in our show notes. Also a link there to a free 14-day trial to check out the Matador Mob, your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.